Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks with Mechai. Today I'm going to start off with some news because we've got a bunch of stuff coming our way very soon. This weekend is Welcome to World of Tanks weekend, which is being provided us because of E3, which was this week, and Wargaming is hoping that we'll have a lot more players joining our ranks, so they're trying to give them some bonuses to make them feel inclined to join and play some more on this weekend. So we have a ×3 weekend, which means be careful out there on the public matches because you might be seeing a lot of raffle stomps one way or the other. I believe there's also some extra crew experience on specified tiers. I think it's like tier 4 to 8. There's some other stuff too. Half off bunker or barracks, half off some other stuff too. You can go to the website obviously and take a look. The other news is that next week we're probably going to be getting our 8.6 patch finally. 8.6 looks like it's basically going to be a mechanic update to the game. Not much in the way of content, which I'm okay with, and it seems like a lot of other people are in agreement with me on that. I've been watching some of the video reviews of other people from Darkling and Side Strafe, Mighty Jingles, Quickie Baby, and Nether Void, and it looks like these changes are going to be for the better. There's going to be changes in accuracy dispersion, so shots will be more centralized. They won't be going off towards the edges of the reticles as often. I think it's going to be shrinking from like 12 or 15% to like 4%. So you're going to see a lot less of shots that like strafe off to the sides and just completely whiff. And very frustrating thing, especially if you're playing an accurate weapon, in the German tank or the British tanks. I think this is going to be a positive change and update because that's going to reward players who take the time to aim their shots. And I am one of those players. I have a pretty high hit percentage. Right now my hit ratio is 73%, which I think is pretty good. It's almost 3/4. And it's going to reward those people who take the time to aim their shots and aiming for weak spots. And it's going to make armor a little less relevant, but it could also make it more relevant because they're supposed to be doing some armor normalization. They're also nerfing heat, which is a much needed thing. Heat's going to have far less potency, which is going to, I think, remove some of the troll factor of some of the heat tanks that you see a lot of in this game now. They're also doing the same thing with damage. Damage isn't going to have such a high spread between the highest and lowest points. It's going to be more centralized, so like the average damage is going to be more what you'll see often. For example, the T34, which is the tank I'm reviewing today for the record, the average damage for that shot is 400. So instead of seeing so many 500s, and I see a lot of 300s in this tank, you'll be seeing more around the lines of 400s and like 480s and 420s and so on and so forth. There won't be so much spread between the highs and the lows. Again, I think a positive change because it's great when you get those bingo rolls and you get like a 500 damage shot with your T34, but it's so frustrating when you're getting like 280 or 300 damage shots and on a tank that shoots slowly and just has a rate of fire of 4. That's really frustrating. So I think that's a good change too. It's taking some of the random factor out of the game, and if I ever had a complaint about this game is that the random factor does have too much influence on the game, and a lot of people agree with that, at least the people that I talk to. So again, I think these are positive changes. There's also a rumor we might be getting premium tanks. There's 2 tier 8 premium tanks that'll be coming out. I think there's a German TD and a Chinese heavy, which look interesting. I've seen only very brief information about them and a couple screenshots. I haven't seen any videos or anything like that. But I'm not sure if those are coming out in this update in 8.6, which I'm hoping is coming out next week, like Monday or Tuesday, or 8.7, which I hear is going to be quickly on the heels of 8.6 with some content. So that's the update on the news. So that's good stuff. I felt like this game has needed some tweaks now for a while. Oh, and I also forgot that artillery is getting nerfed. Finally, they're nerfing how the reload times. They're nerfing the accuracy, and they're also changing the artillery spread. They are adding artilleries because they're making artillery tier 1 through 10 now. So they are adding some artillery, but they're basically just filling holes, and they're really not changing any of the artilleries that you have per se. They might be moving up a tier or down a tier or up a couple, but the base stats aren't really changing. But every artillery is getting an accuracy nerf and a rate of fire nerf. So that's much needed because I think artillery has far too much influence on this game, and recently it's been arty party after arty party battles where you have 5 artillery, and because people are trying to level them all up before they feel like they become no fun anymore, or their tank's going to get lower tiered and they want to get the highest tiers. So again, more positive changes. I mean, I have 2 artillery. I've got a Hum and an S51, which I think is going to be called the SU51 after this update. And I think the Hummel is becoming a tier 6 and the SU51 is becoming a tier 7. But it doesn't really matter to me. I don't really play artillery very much. It's more for fun when I'm platooning with my friends, and otherwise I don't think artillery is that great of a time to play, really. It's just That's how I feel about artillery. So that's all in the updates. But for today, what I'm going to be doing is reviewing the T34 Premium American Heavy Tank. I have quite a few battles in this tank. 405. It's probably the one I play the most right now, except for maybe my IS-6, which I just got about a month and a half ago. I am starting to play my Type 59 a lot more, but the Type 59, as I showed you before, is a really technical tank. And you're not always in the mood to be running around in medium just trying to flank and do all that. Sometimes you just want to be in a tank that just pounds the crap out of people, and that's what the T34 does. It's a great premium tank. It might be my favorite. The IS-6, which I'll probably be doing a review of next week or this weekend, is probably a close second. The Type 59 is my favorite premium tank. It's my favorite tank in the game, but you can't get it, so I don't really count it as a tank. That's also why I didn't do a really thorough review on it with all the stats, because for the most part, you're probably not going to be getting one if you don't, and if you already have one, you know what it does. So the T34, on the other hand, is a tank you can still get, and a great one. And if people ask me what premium tank to get, I'm torn between T34 and the IS-6. Maybe this will be changing with that new Chinese WZ heavy tank, but we'll deal with that firecracker when we light it up. So the T34, what's it got? All premium tanks, for the most part, have a major plus and a major flaw. That's what kind of makes them balanced. And the T34 fits perfectly into that mold. It has a wicked gun. It's only considered a tier 9 gun, but it's a tier 10 gun. It's got 250 pen, rate of fire 4, which is about 13 seconds with full crew and equipment, and it does 400 damage, and is reasonably accurate, 0.35 accuracy. You can do some sniping with this tank, but the problem with it is obviously the rate of fire isn't great, and the aiming time is 3.4, and that's atrocious. That's Russian aiming time. But that alpha is awesome, and that's what this tank's all about, is about putting out that damage. When people see this tank, they are scared. Well, when they see this tank fire, they're scared. The problem with T34, its massive flaw, is its armor. Its hull armor is garbage. Garbage. It's only 100 on the hull, and 76 on the side and front hull, and then 76 on the side and 51 on the rear hull. The hull's garbage. For the most part, unless you're shooting at it and he's got a really good angle and you hit like somewhere on this plate right here, you might get a bounce if you're shooting like a 200 pen gun. But if you aim, for this ridge right here, or this gun turret is a really weakness, or you hit it anywhere on the sides, anywhere on the rear, you are going to pen and you're going to do damage. It does not have any hull armor. That's why it's weak. It's also not the fastest tank. It weighs about 66 tons, and it has an 810 horsepower engine. It'll move. It's not slow per se, but it doesn't have a very good traverse of 22, and the turret traverse is even worse with 18. It takes forever to swing this turret around. It's very similar to the E75. It plays a lot like the E75, except for the fact it doesn't have any hull armor. What it does have, though, is turret armor. 280 on the turret with a wickedly huge front mantle. A cupola that's kind of hard to hit because of the slope on top. You can hit it, but it's hard to hit. The side armor is 127, but it does have some roundedness to it. If you hit it right where the star is, that is kind of weakness from right here. I've seen some bounces, but I've also seen some pens. The back of the turret is surprisingly hard to pen at 203, but if you have the back of the turret, you should probably be aiming at the back of the hull. Unless he's magically hulled down. I have bounced off the back of T34s. It does have some slight arcing to it. It can be frustrating. For the most part, you want to avoid the turret shooting at this thing. You want to aim at the hull because you'll pen with a tier 5 gun. View range is 360, which is fine. The signal range is normal. It's about the gun. This is a tank that needs to get hulled down. If you've played the T29, you know what I'm talking about. T29, T32, this is in the same family. You need to hull this sucker down, and the gun's got good gun depression, and just aim over the hill and just blast them with that cannon. It's 250 pen, and if you've got premium rounds, which I load a couple, I believe it is What's the pen? 300 pen. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's what you do with this gun. You need to get it out, you need to put out the damage, and then just hide during your long-ass reload, and hold down if you can. It's great for maps like Steps. I like it in city maps too because it's fast enough that you can do a little bit of side scraping and poking out and just blasting people with a gun. And it's fast enough that I can get in the front and lead a charge. The problem is, if it's out in the open, people know to kill it quickly because it's got a big gun and they know it's easy to kill. And you see a million of these things playing because it's a premium tank. So, equipment, I like to keep it with the fan, the vents, the rammer, obviously, and I like a vertical stabilizer just because you're turning the turret, and it's a heavy tank. I like vert stabs on heavy tanks. You could put on coated optics or something if you want some more view range, but I think it's kind of a waste because I don't think you'll be sitting and sniping too much with this tank. It's not a German tank. It has some accuracy, but not a ton. And like I said, you can get in the front. You know, and you can do a push if you've got some help and you've got some people to, take some shots off you, or you got like a TD next to you, or a big tier 8 like a 30 or an AC that can bounce some shots and knock some stuff out. That's what this tank's good for. And it's a good tank. I really like it. You know what its weakness is, but you know what its strengths are, and you use it wisely. You can really change the flow of a battle. I've pumped out some massive damage with this thing. You can just look at my stats really quickly. I've got a 57% win rate on it, just because I enjoy playing it, and it's one of my highest experience per battle tanks. I've got a lot of kills with it and some good medals with it, and I'm going to show you a wicked battle I had with it in just a second. As for the crew, it's got a big crew. Don't forget, one of the great perks of having a premium tank is that you can switch out the crew for any American heavy tank into this tank and use it, and you won't have any penalties or anything like that. So it's great for training up other crews. I actually took when I first got my T32 tank, I'd already had T34 for a while, so I took the crew off my T34 and put it on my T32 and trained them for it, and then bounced them back and forth. Eventually, I just sort of kept that crew on that tank and made a new crew for the T34, just to be handy. It'll probably be handy when I keep the when I get the E5. I'm going to keep the M103 and probably just keep the crew on that, and I'll put this crew into the M103 and train them up for that, and then just switch them out, or maybe I'll take the M103 crew. We'll see. It's very helpful for that, and if you're going up the American Heavy line, I suggest if you need to buy a premium tank, get T34. So let's get this into a battle and show you what this thing can do. Okay, so here we are in a battle on Ensk, one of my absolute favorite maps. I like it because it's a city map, I like it because it's close quartered, and I like it because artillery doesn't have much effect on the battle, and that I can use all the city walls and buildings to my advantage. I really just enjoy side scraping and playing a little bit of peekaboo and mixing it up in the city. I really like that. Platooned up with Adam again, and we are high tiered with only 4 tier 8 tanks per side. So this is a tasty matchup, and we can see that there's the skill range they're kind of balanced teams. I think our team's probably a little bit better, but they do have that one SU-100Y who's a Unicum in his although he doesn't even have 1,000 battles, so that's probably just either he's got a new account or something like that. But we got a couple platoons on each side, so I'd say relatively even spread. They have a good amount of TDs, and so do we. TDs are kind of nullified, I feel like, in this map because of the fact that it's a city map and it's all about flanking and getting around people. So Ensk, I have a pretty simple tactic for Ensk. I don't really care if it's encounter, which this one is, or if it's just a standard battle. If I'm on the south or the north, either, it doesn't really matter. I go to the city through the 3 line almost every single time, and I like to mix it up in these 2 blocks right here. Either by side scraping, using the walls, or just by playing a little bit of peekaboo and just flanking the crap out of people. I don't care if I'm in a heavy, medium, TD, and don't play arty very much. So if you're an arty on this map, either just sit back and pray you can get a couple shots before you get killed, or just go TD mode. A lot of people like to go in the field, and I don't know if this is a Clan Wars thing. I've never played this map particularly on Clan Wars, but a lot of people like to go into the field, and I'm not a fan of it. I'll do it once in a while, just if I feel like mixing it up and I feel like the event's that show that I need to go push that way. But it's really exposed, and there are some hills and there are some trees you can hide behind, and some buildings you can play peekaboo with. But I feel like you just go out there and you get surrounded. There's so many different ways people can get around you, and I'm not a fan of that. I like having more control over what's going to be popping up around me. So I'm going to let my teammates, for the most part, do the field, and I'm working the city. And I'm working up this 3 line, and I'm either going to try to... And this, I might control more of the 4 line since this is encounter, and I want to have control of the flag, but for the most part, I like duking it out around these 2 blocks right here. It's a small map, so if people start capping, especially on encounter, because it takes a long cap on encounter, you've got time to react. So what Adam and I are going to do is we're going to push up this 3 line right here and just duke it out of the city. So let's get this started so you guys can see how that goes for us. And I'm going to speed up the intro, but I'm going to show you a couple things that you shouldn't do on Ensk. Frodo and I make some really bad mistakes here that I'm going to point out and hope that you can learn from them. Don't follow suit with them. First one is coming up right here. I'm going to keep this in my mode right now to show you. It's okay to cross up north on the tracks here, but here's where I make a mistake. And this has been happening to me more often recently. I think people are wising up. I can see that there are tanks at the end of this street right here. And they can clearly see me, as you're going to see I'm spotted in just a couple seconds. Right there I'm spotted. You saw that pop up. Now what I should have done at this point is kept following behind the cover of these buildings so that they don't get a free shot of me. But what do? Well, I pull out and start heading north. And the VK4502P tracks me out in the open like that. Now fortunately there's only one arty, but if there was a lot of arty or more tanks sitting down this alley, I have gotten roasted by getting hit and tracked out in the open like this. Don't get stuck here. Go behind cover, go behind this building here, and work yourself back that way if you're working up through the city. Fortunately, I get out without any real repercussions there. So, and this is a problem that I commonly see on this map. Adam and I are pushing up in the city basically without any support. We've got a Jagdpanzer IV and a T20, which aren't really huge impacts to help us in terms of having some stopping power. We do have a VK4502A over there, but I don't like the fact that he's just running out in the middle of the map out in the open. Right here I'm trying to see if I can repay that VK4502. I'm going to put this back into my mode so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Right here T50 decides to pop out and I take a third-person shot at him. I don't advise taking third-person shots. I've been doing it a lot more recently and it's hurting me. Aim in for your shots, people. Just hit the shift button or zoom in and aim your shots. So Adam and I are poking up through this block up here, and we're not getting a lot of resistance, but there's a T28. And here's a mistake that both he and I make. At this point, he pulls up too far and gets engaged. He's going to pull up alongside this T28. You can't do this here because he's probably got support, and as you'll see, he does here. There's almost always a tank or two here in this alley coming from the north. In the T28 prototype, you do need to flank it, which is what he's trying to do. But he overexposes himself, and I'm too far away to get in the way and shield him if he gets tracked out in the open. So he unfortunately does get caught out in the open, and you're going to see that doesn't end very well for him. And then I make a big mistake too in my aiming, and I'll show you what I was doing here. So right there I'm aiming at the sides. I had side turret right there. The T28 has garbage armor on all the sides and all the rear, a turret and a hull. I should have aimed at the hull there. I would have had a free shot, and I might have even ammo racked him or taken out his gunner or his driver or his loader. That was a big mistake on my part. So now I'm worried Frodo is getting chewed up out in the open, and I haven't even gotten a shot on anyone. Yeah, and I'm telling him to back up. I'm screaming at him to back up, and I'm trying to get in here and take a shot. There, finally put one in the side. I'm trying to get him to back up behind me so I can take a couple shots off him. I already took one shot. And unfortunately, he puts in a good shot on T28's side, but he gets taken out. I should have driven forward there and taken a shot off him. Shield your allies, guys. You need to keep guns on the field. So the T28 is dead. But I'm looking right now, we're tied 4-4. And there's a ton of guys in the city, and I don't have a lot of backup. The T28's going for some flanks, and my teammates are telling me to go cap, but you don't cap on an encounter on Ensk this early. Right now I'm looking behind me because I'm worried about that VK4502A. I am by myself. Adam's dead. And I've got a KV-3 in front of me and a VK-45 behind me. So I'm in a bad spot here, and I need to start establishing some dominance in the city. So I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I'm trying to decide what to do with my life. I see the KV-3 gives me some side turrets, so I take a nice shot. The T-20's helped me here. He's taking their attention. He's aggroing the enemy. That's good. I'm waiting for my massively long reload, and I get tracked. I should not have poked out until I was ready. At least if I should have poked out, I should have hit him. So I'm not using my repair kit on my tracks because I don't like doing that. Get a good shot. Unfortunately, I couldn't have got a higher roll. Would have finished one shot, but the T-20 finishes him off. That's great. I'm keeping an eye on the other side. They're doing okay in the field, which is good. So I'm going to go try to chase off this T-43, make sure he doesn't try to get behind us and just cause havoc. Our team is smack-talking the crap out of the other team, but we just lost 2 tanks in a row right there, so don't like that. That guy's talking GG already, and the game is far from over, as you'll see. So unfortunately, T-43 ran away, so now I'm trying to get back into this fight. I need to engage this T-45. Here's another mistake I make. This Jagdpanzer is trying to back up, and unfortunately, I accidentally blocked him. Whoops. Sorry about that, Jagdpanzer. That was my bad. I just wanted to finish that guy, and I was hoping I could before he shot him, but unfortunately I blocked the Jagdpanzer, but I did get the VK-4502, so that's good. But sorry, Jagdpanzer. Already gets taken out by a Churchill somehow. Oh, he's right there behind me in the alley. And now we see that we're down a tank now. So look what happens when you start smack talking. So I'm going to go and try to finish off a couple of these tanks that are straggling around back in their base. Unfortunately, I just lost my T-20 friend who was doing a really good job. So right here, get a good shot on T-43. And VK-36 is right there. Okay. Doing a little wiggling, hoping he just misses, and he does. My tracks soak it up. That was good. And I decided I just need to get in this guy's face and take him out. We're losing tanks on the air side, and I need to start just whittling this team down. So there we go. He misses, and I just take him out. Probably shouldn't have put myself at risk there, maybe side scrape, but unfortunately time is becoming a factor now because we're losing teammates. So I'm just trying to get over here so that I can knock some people out. And here's the T34. He disappeared, but I knew he was still there, so I took a shot. Probably hit him in the back of the hull. Okay, T34-45, not much of a threat, but he is a tank. Now he has a gun, I need to get him out. If I made a mistake here, it's that I should have engaged the IS-3 while he wasn't looking at me. I was really worried about getting caught in the open because I didn't know which way everybody was facing, and unfortunately Adam had quit and wasn't really watching the game to tell me what was going on. So I get the T-34-85 out of there. I see the Jag Tigers rolling on the T-34-1. T-34-1's a good tank. I was really hoping he could stay alive, but he's getting shooed now. So I'm going to try to get a shot on the Jag Tiger. This was a stupid shot to take. That was an auto bounce angle. I should not have taken that shot. I should have waited for something else. Tracks soak up some more damage. Thank you, Tracks, for doing a great job. It's 2-on-2, but unfortunately the other tank is at Church 7, and he's not in a good spot to help me. And now I'm kind of out in the open, and a Jag Tiger 88 can tear a T-34 to shreds if he's got shots in your hull, because anyone can pen. So I'm trying to get myself into a side-scraping position so that I at least aren't taking shots to my hull. Now the IS-3 is rolling on me. I see he's not an amazing player, and I'm letting that dictate how I'm playing this. But as you see, it's not going to pay off for me. This was a heartbreaker, unfortunately. I'm waiting for the Churchill to give me some idea of where these guys are. I know he can't really damage them, but I'm hoping at least he can. That was a tough exchange for me. I took a shot off the IS-3, and then I put one into him, so we just kind of traded. The Jag Tiger's bouncing off me, so side scraping is working, but I really wish I would have backed up and not taken that shot from the IS-3. He's going to try to peek around, but he doesn't fall through. I wish he had there. I would have had him. Now comes some dawdling on my part. I'm trying to decide who's going to do what. And Jag Tiger, like I said, can unless I get a massive high roll, he can finish me. So I do a little bit of side scraping here. Take one shot from the Jag, but I put one more into him. Now I'm just hoping my tracks will soak up one more shot. And they do, and I'm tracked, but he leaves himself exposed in lower hull. Finish him. But the reload time on the T34 is going to cost me, as the IS-3 comes in and finishes me. Damn it. Alright, so let's look at the end stats on this battle. Alright, here we are taking a look at the end stats from that last battle. A heartbreaking loss, but I did manage to secure Top Gun and Sniper, which is pretty sweet. I was 16 for 16 on hits, so there you go. This was a tough one. I pumped out about 4,300 damage. Hit a ton of targets, as you can see. Looks like it was 9 total tanks that I hit, and then 6 that I destroyed. Looking at the experience here, I was number 1. It wasn't, if I'm honest, it wasn't one of my greatest experience earning battles. Obviously, because I lost, that really capped how much experience I got out of it. That's why the enemy team, a lot of their top players didn't do nearly what I did, and yet they still got more experience than me. It's so frustrating when you have such a great battle and you lose. We'll pull up my individual stats. 16 for 16, 14 penetrations. I have that one bounce off the T28, and I don't remember the other one. Didn't do much spotting damage. Not going to happen on Ensk, really. Took tons of potential damage, 4,000. That was a track soaking up all that damage for me. Those tracks do a great job. Side scraping does work in a lot of heavy tanks. It's a great tactic to have. 16 shots, 15,000 in ammunition. The T34 gun is very expensive to run. If you take a lot of shots, you're going to pay for it. Fortunately, I still made 110,000 credits, so I still banked almost 90K, which is just awesome. Closing thoughts on the battle. I listed a few mistakes that I made, and unfortunately, they probably did end up costing me the game. If I had taken that one shot on the T28 up at the T20 prototype on the turret, I probably would have been able to knock him out before he knocked out Adam. Adam would have been able to help me secure the victory for sure. Unfortunately, he rushed in there and got chewed up, and then I wasn't able to block the last shot, and he ended up dying, and that was really probably what cost us the whole game. Also, towards the end, I was probably not aggressive enough with the IS-3. I probably could have bullied him into making a mistake. The problem was the Jag Tiger 88 was there just enough to keep me in check, and they really did play the ending very well there. I was really limited in what I could do, and I didn't have any teammates to help me. So it was just a heartbreaking loss. Like I said, there was a couple mistakes that if I hadn't made them, probably would have won the game. But you have to learn from those. So please learn from those mistakes that I listed during the gameplay. And T34 is a very recommended tank. It has great strengths. It has glaring weaknesses, like all premium tanks do. But if you know how to work with it, and especially if you're high tiered, that gun just makes people just cower in fear. It makes them die really fast. So it's a great tank, and of all the premiums, it's probably one of my top 2 for sure for now. So that's been the review of T34. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. Leave any comments you have, and I'll respond to them. I hope you enjoyed this one, and take care, guys.
We'll be right back.